Picture this vivid scene. You stand alone, exposed and vulnerable, as a jeering crowd surrounds you on all sides. Moments ago, a once trusted friend publicly denounced you, casting aspersions on your character. Now, strangers you've never met join in the mockery, hurling pointed insults that strike at the very core of your being. As the intensity builds, how does it feel deep inside? Notice the telltale sensations. Your face flushes red, heart pounds in your chest, stomach twists in knots. The primal impulse rises like a tidal wave threatening to crash, to lash out in self-defense, to match scorn with scorn, to protect your honor at any cost. But then, a whisper from ages past cutting through the din, you don't have to get angry. The voice is calm, regal, firmly rooted in hard-won wisdom rather than fleeting emotion. Its counsel feels foreign, almost scandalous to the seething passions of the wounded ego. And yet, as the heat of the moment yields to cooler introspection, a startling question forms. What if the strongest, most noble response was to not react at all? This radical idea, choosing stillness over retaliation in the face of hostility, forms a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. Its most famous proponent, the great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, crystallized the insight in a line that echoes across millennia. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. At first blush, this advice can seem like a recipe for weakness or passivity, the wishful naivete of an emperor who never faced real hardship. But closer examination reveals the true power and grit within the Stoic perspective. Far from shrinking in the face of cruelty, Stoicism represents a code of supreme inner strength, an unshakable self-command that external forces cannot breach. Marcus illustrated the concept with striking metaphors. The mind which is free from passions is a citadel, he wrote, for man has nothing more secure to which he can fly for refuge and repel every attack. No matter how vicious the insults hurled at the Stoic, his inner fortress remains unblemished, for he chooses what to give power over his peace of mind. When someone wrongs us, Marcus invites us to pause and ponder. Has this attack truly harmed me in any meaningful or enduring way, or has it merely scuffed the fragile surface of my pride? He challenges us to ask if our deepest values, our guiding life philosophy, can really be negated by something as ephemeral as an unkind word. In perhaps his most famous metaphor, Marcus compared the unflappable equanimity of the philosopher to the cliff against which the waves continually break. The Stoic sage stands tall and unmoved as the yapping dogs of pettiness, jealousy, and bad faith bark at his ankles. His self-worth is an immovable boulder, not a leaf tossed on the winds of opinion. Lest we mistake this unperturbed poise for a lack of feeling, Marcus displayed remarkable compassion for his detractors. They are certainly moved by their ignorance of good and evil, he reflected with an air of pity rather than resentment. Having glimpsed the utter sublimity of a virtuous life, how could he hate those stumbling blindly in delusion? As Emperor of Rome, Marcus was no stranger to the highest stakes and pressures, army mutinies, court intrigues, the condemnation of the masses. He witnessed them all with the same unruffled calm. Faced with crowds baying for blood, he stood like the promontory against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. Why was Marcus able to endure such slings and arrows with composure? Because he saw insults for what they truly are, not reliable barometers of our worth, but rather misguided outbursts, unworthy of our deepest consideration. Choose not to be harmed, he wrote, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. The Stoics saw the world as a single great city, a cosmopolis, in which all humans are citizens. To resent the faults of another is to deny our intrinsic kinship, our shared fallibility. Men exist for the sake of one another, Marcus reminded himself in his private journals. Teach them then, or bear with them. How different this ancient wisdom seems from our reactive modern culture. In an instant gratification world of social media outrage, hot takes, and zero-sum debates, we often rush to escalate rather than diffuse. The slightest whiff of offense can spur a nuclear response, an overblown crusade to condemn and cancel the offender. But the Stoics urge us to meet hostility with understanding, bad faith with good. They counsel responding to the unhinged, not by descending to their level, but by embodying the change we wish to see. Leading by example, we can disrupt cycles of animosity through gestures of grace and tolerance. As Marcus put it, the best way to avenge thyself is not to become like the wrongdoer. Rising above is not weak, but daring and difficult. A victory over the self, the most formidable foe of all. This forbearance is not about being a doormat. Setting boundaries is crucial, but it should be done calmly, out of love for our principles, rather than antipathy for the transgressor. Stoicism gives us the tools to choose our response, to act rather than simply react. The goal is a resilience tempered by empathy, integrity without sanctimony. If any man has done wrong, Marcus concluded, the fault lies ultimately with the wrongdoer himself. Our power lies in choosing not to join him in the muck, but to carry on, unsullied, toward the good. How might we apply this bracing Stoic tonic in our own lives? When you find yourself on the receiving end of rudeness, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself honestly, what is really harmed here? My ego, my self-image, my reputation in the eyes of those I'll never meet, or the deepest truth of who I am and aspire to be? Try this Stoic journaling exercise. Write down the insults or accusations leveled at you, but describe them with the unvarnished detachment of a scientist cataloging specimens. Remove any trace of defensive self-justification or heated rhetoric. Can you reframe the slight as a golden chance to practice your principles? To alchemize adversity into an opportunity for growth and self-mastery? After all, our enemy often unwittingly provides the very resistance we need to grow stronger, to sharpen our Stoic steel on the whetstone of their critiques. Another technique from the Stoic toolkit: when wronged, flip the script by mentally sending your antagonist goodwill. This is not to absolve their transgression, but to leech it of its power to dominate your mental landscape. Wish them well, and then carry on your merry way, refusing to let their dysfunction derail you. Picture the scene. Marcus Aurelius, resplendent in his white robes, holds court in a soaring Roman hall. A scheming senator, hoping to curry favor, hurls a backhanded accusation his way. The emperor regards him steadily, dark eyes gleaming not with anger, but with a flicker of compassion. His voice is level and unhurried, resonant with hard-earned wisdom. The sycophant's words ring hollow, a child's tantrum against a sage's unflinching poise. Take heart in this image of radical equanimity. Whatever your station in life, you too can face the barbs of existence with the same grounded presence. It takes practice and patience, but the promise of Stoicism is that peace is possible independent of our circumstances. The wise man meets venom with the antidote of virtue. He does not simply react to hardship like a sailboat buffeted on the waves of fortune. Instead, he responds, intentionally, judiciously, steering his vessel with the rudder of his reasoned choice. We rise above injustice not through chilly apathy, but through the warm glow of self-possession. We cannot control the fickle winds of fate, but we can trim our sails and choose our heading. With practice, we transmute adversity into advantage, insult into inspiration. We are all works in progress. Even as we try our best to embody Stoic ideals, we will inevitably fall short. The goal is not perfection, but persistence, the humble recognition that we are forever students in the school of life. But what if true calamity strikes through no fault of our own? What if the injury comes not from spiteful words, but from an implacable turn of tragic fate? Marcus Aurelius faced down plagues, the deaths of his beloved children, and wars on the empire's crumbling frontiers. Could philosophy console him in the face of such cosmic cruelty? That is the gauntlet we will take up next time. Until then, let us anchor ourselves in the timeless words of a battle-tested emperor. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. Our power depends not on the chaos and flux without, but on the steady devotion to virtue within. Be resolute, be stoic, and may your practice steel you for whatever trials lie ahead.